And now, broadcasting from the Ginger and Baker studio in the heart of the Music District in beautiful Old Town Fort Collins, Colorado, it's Live at Lunch here on KRFC 88.9 FM, streaming live worldwide on krfcfm.org. Support for Live at Lunch comes from Canvas Credit Union, helping Coloradans afford life. Today's guests are a Celtic band that grew out of the local Irish music session scene, and they will make you smile. I'm your host, Rob Thurlow, and today's musical guest is Once Upon a Tune.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Once Upon a Tune here in the studios, and it's so cool. Like I've known you guys for a while, and always associate you with the Irish session scene,
mm-hmm.
and that's just really cool. Probably we should start by letting people know what those tunes were, what those two tune sets were.
The first set was a set of jigs, and they're the two main types of tunes in Celtic music. For those people that might be new to this, are jigs and reels, and they've got just a different time signature. So the jigs are 6/8 time, and these were the first jig was Anthony Frawley's, the second jig was Coleman's Cross, and the third jig was Drummond Castle, and that's typical of Celtic music, to string a bunch of tunes into one set. Sometimes they go on for 15 minutes. So
Yeah, you got enough tunes, yes.
we didn't do that today, though.
Yeah.
So, and then the second set we did. There's this guy called Paddy Fahey from a long time ago that wrote a ton of tunes, and all of the tunes are called Paddy Fahey. So
Right.
somebody went in and tried to number them, I think. But the one that we do, the first one of that next set we call it Fahey's Flight. And then the next one was Otter's Holt and Father Kelly's, and those were reels, the second set of tunes. So that was a 4/4 time set.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool stuff. Now, we should go ahead and introduce you.
So I'm Janelle Vanderwerf.
Uh-huh.
I play the fiddle. do you want more yet, or just go around?
That'll do to start.
Yeah, I'm Scott Stidley on guitar.
Mary Watterson on bodhran.
Yeah, very nice. So yeah, I mean, I got to know you guys mostly. I remember the sessions
Yes.
at a long-lost place called Mulligan's.
Yes,
that
yes.
a friend Mouse used to run, and Irish sessions were a thing that happened regularly, and I always remember that time. And then you guys, because of that session, you found an affinity, and you guys started playing together, and you've been going at that for a while. How long?
Yeah,
What do you
like
think, 10
since
years?
2017
Yeah.
at least. But
Okay.
I think we were kind of working up to it even
Yeah.
a couple years before that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's been this is 2024,
Yeah,
so like
7
7 years,
Yeah.
8,
Yeah.
9.
Coming
so
up on a decade.
Yeah.
yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, interesting. And so, yeah, the Irish session scene is something that not everybody probably knows about. We're blessed right now in the
Yes.
city to have a weekly session that's Monday nights, and then 2 monthly sessions that meet on Sunday afternoons usually. And like, I think that's it's such a cool thing to have that as a resource and as a place for people to go to enjoy, and a place for people to go to play too. Yeah, how did you guys all find your way into the Irish music scene like that?
So I was not from a musical family,
Yeah.
and my parents got piano lessons for my brother, and so at that point we became a musical family, I guess. And I started going in and plunking around on his assigned pieces, and before I was ever given lessons. So my parents decided let's get Janelle lessons, and then I played the piano for about 4 years. But then I realized there isn't always a piano wherever you go. So I picked up this fiddle, bought it off my brother, because he had migrated to playing guitar and doing a lot of folk music. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with the fiddle or violin, because I liked classical and I liked bluegrass, and that was more what my brother was kind of into. But it wasn't hitting me really just perfect. And at about that time, I was 16, my folks took me up to the Scottish-Irish Festival in Estes Park.
Yeah.
And when I heard that music, I just fell in love with it. I just was like, it embodies passion, but class. You know, it was just really gritty and earthy, but at the same time, just beautiful. And so I played really hot and heavy for about 5 years. I discovered through people at Estes Park. Alistair Fraser is a big name Scottish fiddler, and he has a camp in California called Valley of the Moon. So I went there for 5 consecutive years, and another couple of camps in between there, and just really fell in love with it. Just really dug in, and that's how I found it. So
And Valley of the Moon, I mean.
oh, you can't go wrong. And I was gonna say, like, I couldn't have picked a better artist and hero to emulate than Alistair Fraser.
Yeah.
And he had so many amazing people come to his camp. Martin Hayes. I don't know if Natalie McMaster came there, but he had a lot of Cape Breton influences coming to his camp, and so I really loved the Cape Breton side of Celtic music. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Scott, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I actually started my musical career playing the violin.
Fiddle, man.
Actually,
right?
I started with the Suzuki method, with the classical
Oh, did you? Okay.
training, and I enjoyed that. I did that for a little while, but then it wasn't too long into taking lessons that I came across a fiddle player that was coming through town and did a fiddle workshop, and that captured my attention. I was like, I think I want to play the fiddle now, or basically play like old time folk music instead of classical music. So I did that for a while, and ended up. I actually grew up in a small town in Wyoming, but I ended up getting into the fiddle pretty seriously when I was in grade school, and ended up getting to compete in a bunch of like regional and statewide contests, and had the opportunity to actually even go out to Weiser, Idaho, to the national contest out there.
Yikes, I feel kind of like crouching now.
But I think as I got a little older, my interest changed a little bit, and I discovered that what I really was interested in at that time was the guitar, and specifically like the rhythm guitar. Just kind of really was captivated by all the stuff you could do rhythmically, and with the chords add like a color and texture. So I got into guitar. wasn't specifically Irish for a few more years. I kind of happened upon Irish music when I was living in Virginia, and ended up getting involved with a traditional session there. And then I got kind of turned on to the whole Irish music world. I think some of my first influences there were the band Solus, Altan, and Lunasa. But very specifically regarding Irish guitar, John Doyle was kind of the one that really caught my attention. I was just mesmerized by what he could do backing up a melody on guitar, and just how much he could add to that. So I studied his technique. I had a little like a DVD an instructional DVD that I studied closely, and just tried to absorb as much as I could. I was just totally into it. And then a little further on down the line, I was actually fortunate enough to take some lessons from John, which was a great experience. And then I think just some other influences. I mentioned Solus, and Ed Boyd, I think, was another great guitar player that caught my attention. Don O'Hennessy from Lunasa, and Tim Eady as well. So some great musicians there that I aspired to and still do.
And Mary.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Tim Eady is dangerous. You know, when you told me about him, it was late at night, and I got on YouTube and typed in him and the flute guy playing at the
Brian
festival.
Finnegan,
Finnegan.
Oh, yeah.
And I was up till 3 a.m. I was listening to those guys play. So I came to Irish music kind of in a roundabout way, I guess. I did not really grow up in a musical family per se, and as much as my parents didn't really listen to music around the house.
Right.
My mom would listen to some folk singers, like Joan Baez or whatnot, but we all had to have a sport, we all had to play an instrument. So my brothers picked their instrument, and I picked drums. And I started out with a snare drum, and I was more into like technical snare work, rudiments, and got into a bunch of different competitions and whatnot. And then just, through school, I was in every band they had. And I guess my biggest influence was jazz. It was really, so I played drum set as well as all the orchestral percussion instruments. But there's something about jazz, because you're just given like the trumpet part, and the time signature, obviously, and you're really about backing and kicking in different instruments as they're coming into the tune. And that was really appealing to me, not to be like out in the front, but really trying to listen as what was going on. and then my only I guess introduction to Irish music was just the chieftains. And to me, that was Irish music. Somebody gave me an album of theirs. I don't know who it was, but I was like, what is that drum? What's the drum he's playing?
Yeah.
That's like more tunes and intonations than like a drum set.
Yeah.
And so my mom was alive at the time, and she got me, I don't know where she got it, but it was a big, like an Irish fair drum, and it had the Irish, Trinity knot on the front, and it came with a little video. And it taught you how to play carry style, which is holding your tipper in the middle of the stick. And I could not play it. It was just killing my arm. And so it really became like a wall ornament. Once my mom died, I just hung it above my couch. It stayed there. Didn't really think about trying to play Irish music anymore until after her death. And I was actually this is a funny story, but I was taking a nap on the couch, and that drum fell on me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this thing as a sign. And so I got on YouTube, and I discovered there was a different way to hold your tipper. And so I got that drum and was doing that, and I was like, oh, I can strike the drum. The big thing, the kind of the funny thing about drums is that when you see somebody trying to play, a lot of times they can't even strike it. It's just kind of an awkward wrist thing. But I was able to do it, and so I was like, okay, this is super cool. So I found a teacher who had kind of my same background with like competition snare work, who he was a top professional bodhran player now, Matt Bell. And I took a couple lessons from him, and I was like, well, how do I start playing? And he said, go to a session.
Yeah.
Just go to a session. And so I was like, really? And he said, yeah, you're fine. You've got all the background, because I started with piano before you could start percussion.
Yeah,
You had to have 5 years of piano or something. So I knew how to read dots and all that stuff. He's like, no, just go to a session. So that's how I ended up at Mulligan's. And everybody was super patient there with me. It was a very mature session at the time.
It was. Yes.
Just great musicians who've been playing together for years and years and years, and I'm like coming in with my bag. Don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, that's how I got into it. And I think, like Scott said, and Janelle both, like once I heard, and chieftains do play real Irish music, but I mean, once you hear all the tunes, and the different types of tunes or whatever, I was just hooked. I mean, I went from listening to Dave Matthews Band all the time and being wowed by Carter Beauford to like being wowed by John Joe Kelly. And now I only listen to like Irish music. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some more music. You want to let us know what you're playing in this set?
Yes. So so as I mentioned, there are different types of tunes in the traditions of Celtic music. This next one is going to be an air, so it's slow and it's very sad, and so I hope that I draw some tears from your eyes with it. It's called Roslin Castle, and I'm assuming it was named for Roslin Castle over in Scotland. And then after that, we'll play another set of slip jigs called Soggies and Wally Range, and those tunes are just beautiful tunes, one written by Sean O'Graham and the other one by Michael McGoldrick. Just really great tunes. So this first one is traditional, though. It dates back quite a ways, I think. All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Always like hearing soggies.
Yes.
So, I wanted to talk a little bit about like heroes and like who do you listen to?
So of course, it was Alistair Fraser. When I first started playing, my dad had bought a couple of his CDs at that festival, and they were just playing all the time. Mm-hmm. And so when I finally decided to go that direction, I took his CDs and I would hit play, pause, back up, play, pause, back up, and just learn every note and try to emulate what he was doing. But then after him, I kind of got onto this Natalie McMaster, Cape Breton music phase. Mm-hmm. And that really helped me to develop a little more of that crisp style. I don't know that I sound completely Cape Breton, but there's a little bit of that in there. But then after Natalie McMaster, I got into Martin Hayes. Oh, yeah. And that helped, help me to understand a little more of the differences between Scottish and Irish music, the feel of them. So, because Martin Hayes is an Irish player. So those guys definitely. Lately, it's still Alistair. I've recently discovered Cassie and Maggie. I love them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And there's another group that I don't know that they tour or that they have albums, but they do a lot on YouTube, and they're called The Good Tune. Just beautiful playing styles. Neat. These two fellas do. So, and then there's just, in my opinion, there are so many great players and artists out there, and the internet has made that so accessible to just see how many there really are.
And it's especially young players right now. Yeah. It is crazy out there.
Yes, yeah. Just how many talented folks there are. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think I mentioned earlier, my first exposure was probably Solus and Lunasa. I remember one of the first Lunasa albums I had in my car, and I probably listened to it 1,000 times at least. I was just completely hooked on the kind of the more modern kind of a twist that they could give to and still be in the traditional style. So I really that was a big influence early on as I was kind of developing my own
And
style.
then Solus can play anything.
Yeah.
Anything on the planet. They've covered Bruce Springsteen songs and Woody Guthrie stuff and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and they've stood the test of time. They've been around forever. Mm-hmm. The players have changed a little bit, but So, and then I mentioned John Doyle. He does a lot of, he does some solo work, and he put out several albums with Liz Carroll, and those were some of my favorite albums as well. And lately I've been kind of exploring some more of the Scottish musicians. There's some great artists out there. I mean, like Janelle said, there's just so many. It's so accessible now to just get on YouTube or whatever and just kind of one after another and see where it leads. And it really can open your eyes to all the talent and all the good stuff out there. So
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to have these guys who will send tunes to me. And I think I initially loaded up my Spotify with recommendations from Scott.
Yeah.
But I listen a lot to Guicha and Lunasa. Mm-hmm. I probably listen the most to Damien O'Kane.
Yeah.
Brian Finnegan, Michael Goldrick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just because of the intricacies of the rhythm. I love Fluke. Yeah. Because of the interesting meters that they have in their tunes.
Yeah, they were remarkable. And Brian Finnegan got that started too. So.
That's kind of his baby. Yeah. But I don't listen to like bodhran players per se. Mm-hmm. I think if you find really like solid fiddle players and solid groups, they're generally backed by just kind of very tasteful bodhran players. Mm-hmm. And Guicha too does a lot of different stuff with meters, which I think is very for me as a rhythm player. It's very interesting, and you can tell we have some similar I think playing styles. I do with a few of those people. It's not because I think it's because of my jazz background. It's not kind of strictly Irish, maybe.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, but these guys have not steered me wrong as far as great tunes to listen to, and Spotify's so cool because you can turn that on, and it'll also give you based on your playlist
Sure.
Recommendations.
and whatnot. So yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff. So I think we're coming up on a song.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, tell us what happens next.
Yeah, we're going to do a song. We don't do a lot of singing, but we do some, and most of it's based around instrumentals. But this one's called Net of the Hill, and again, very traditional. It's from way back. But it's just a sweet little song. I heard it. I wish I could remember the name of the gal. It was another YouTube video I happened to see because I was looking for the song to learn it, and this gal just blew me away the way she sang it, and I just love the song. So we're going to do Net of the Hill, and then we'll go into a set of reels that we have fondly named the hot set because it's just a really hot set. So and we got the name from some friends of ours here locally that they thought it was pretty hot too. So but we can tell you all the names of those tunes after we play them if we have time. So if we have time, I mean, there's tons of names here. All right. Dark is the evening and silent the hour. Oh, who is that minstrel by yonder lone tower, whose harp is so tenderly touching with skill? Oh, who could it be but young Ned of the Hill? And he who sings, Lady Love, won't you come with me now? Oh, come and come out with me under the bough, and I will pillow thy head with a light fairy's tread, if you will but wed with young Ned of the Hill. Of exquisite skill has loosed a bright arrow for a young Ned of the Hill, and it is hard to escape from this young lady's bow, for high is her castle and dark is her tower. Her mind knows no ways where the light fairies tread, and Eileen is gone with young Ned of the Hill. And he who sings, Lady Love, won't you come with me now? Oh, come and come out with me under the bough, and I'll pillow thy head with a light fairy's tread, if you with young Ned of the Hill. If you will
Right. Fun. Tell us the names of the tunes in that last set.
Yes, those were, the first one was Tree Gap. The second one was Repeal the Poll Tax. And then Loch Leven Castle, The Apple Tree, The Reconciliation, and Red Crow. And those were definitely a mix of Irish and Scottish
Yes.
tunes.
Yes.
So,
Yes, as good should actually, in my opinion. But yes, yes. Well, good stuff. I wanted to thank the crew on this, the audio crew: Greg Douras, Colton Boening, Brendan O'Hara, Reed Goodwin, and the video crew: Alex Delano and Dan Perez. And wonderful stuff. Please go to our KRFC RadioVision YouTube channel and click on the subscribe tab so you can get a notification each week on who will be the Live at Lunch artist that week, and you can view all past, present, and future Live at Lunch episodes. Good stuff. Got 2 more sets from you. Tell us what they are, and
all right.
We'll get on her.
Well, we're going to do one we call the mouse set. It has a bunch of tunes in it that have a mouse in them, and you might even hear some mice in the tune. And as another friend of ours said, you might hear the mice chewing through Scott's chords. Ha 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 ha. And so let's see, what are the names of them again? So we have Mouse.
Mouse and the Horseshoe is the first one.
Mouse and the Horseshoe. A great tune by, we think, Michael McGoldrick. And then Mouse in the Mug, Mouse Behind the Bar, which is written from a good friend of ours, here locally, actually, for another friend of ours named Mouse. And then the last tune is Mouse in the Kitchen, another amazingly great tune by Colin Farrell. So, yeah. And then shall we do Spoota Scary after those?
Sure.
Those after that set?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So then after that we'll do a real set called Spoota Scary and Willifjord. So it's actually Scottish tunes and more specifically Shetland tunes are the last set. So
Nice.
okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you for listening to Live at Lunch, and thank you to the Music District here in the heart of Fort Collins, Colorado. Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker studio. If you'd like to appear on Live at Lunch, email our music director, David Vacek, at david@krfcfm.org.